Hello, hello, hello. Welcome once again to the den, the library, the accoutrement of Isaac Anzu. I'm joined here today by the Zarkon, who I have been eagerly waiting to return because he's great. And I have nothing to do. I have nothing to do on my days off except watch con streams. Well, that's not true at all. I do a shitload, but having con streams on in the background is like the default now.
Yeah, I was about to say you gassing me up just a little bit too much because I know the process that you have to go through to get all your shit done for music and whatnot. I don't know how you do it, brother. I don't see how you was able to keep up with it.
I honestly, in about 3 weeks, I'm going to be going on vacation to the States, and my goal is to finish my current project before then. And yeah, I honestly, I don't know how I'm going to do that, but we out here trying to achieve our dreams. So it's go big or go home.
Hell yeah, go big or go extinct.
It's so true though. Like we were talking a little bit about this on your stream yesterday. Like you truly don't know what you're capable of until you push yourself, right? And it's so hard to push yourself because inevitably you run into failure or things you've never done before, or pressure from society to not push yourself or not pursue the path that you want to pursue.
Oh yeah, that's when you exercise your insensitivity, as Leslie Nielsen put it.
That's a good way to put it. I always liked to say that sometimes you must be the voice of consequence.
Oh, absolutely.
Like you can't always
I know
be
that one all too well.
You can't always be nice. You can't always be kind. Sometimes you have to be the way that the world tells someone they're wrong.
Mm-hmm. Just like Andre 3000 said. What's the line? I know it feels like I'm being the bearer of bad news. I don't want to be it, but it's needed. So what have you?
Oh, I can feel the Andre rhythm in there. That's good.
Yeah, you can just feel the power. You can feel it deep down in my loins.
Man, I do not disparage Andre at all for making his life what he wants to make it. I just wish he's still rapped.
Bruh, I have been on that shit for a long time. Like, it would be, I would make that shit like a mission to go and find like all of the like features that he would do, because that'd be the only way you'd hear the motherfucker do anything, because he'd stopped making his own music. And now he's going around playing the flute in airports and shit.
I mean, if that's his truth, right?
Yeah, he turned into his character from Class of 3000.
Man, we still need to watch that show with Saitiel.
Mm-hmm.
I also watched the whatchamacallit. The Key and Peele sketch about him and Big Boy.
Man, that shit is disrespectful.
Yeah, it is.
But it is true. It's like, it's a little too on the nose to where like it goes overboard. But still, I can understand where they're coming from.
So music is the thing I like to do. Um, Today we're writing fighting music.
Ooh, what kind of fighting music?
Kind of like epic fighting music, like Final Fantasy sort of stuff.
Okay, so like big orchestral swells and shit like that, or are we talking like themes?
Um, we're gonna try to do some like big orchestral swell shit. See what we can do in 3 or 4 hours.
Oh, I'm sure we'll have a masterpiece. You will have a masterpiece by the end of this. I'll just be here. I'm the fly on the wall.
I'm just here.
Yeah, I'm here for emotional support.
I appreciate that. I was actually so a good friend of mine, Spiral Gal XE, spiralgal.exe, which is a great name. I'm going to shout
That
out.
is. That's a wonderful fucking name.
Um, uh, I was hanging out in their stream yesterday. Yeah. And she was talking about how she wants to do a music writing stream, but very like nervous about it. And
Oh yeah.
I was like, my streams are basically just chatting streams, but there's music happening in the background.
Yeah. I mean, that's how I treat my little garage band streams.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. All right. Uh, it's been a while since I did this kind of writing, and honestly, I do this kind of writing more often in music notation software. But we out here in Ableton, so let's do it.
Yep. Classic Ableton.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So I think a so how you write classical music is essentially you start with a theme, and the best themes are very simple, like bum 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 bum, right?
Yep. Indeed.
And the skill of the composer is how you can take elements of that theme and expand it to the entire composition. So like Beethoven's Fifth Symphony, bum 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 bum, that's the theme, 4 notes, right?
Yep.
And the entire first movement of the theme is built on just those 4 notes,
Yes.
which is very cool. But if you listen to the theme as like a map, there's 3 of the same thing and 1 different thing, right?
Correct.
And the entire symphony is a first movement in C minor, a second movement in a minor, a third movement in minor, and then the last movement is in major, C major. So the entire structure of the symphony is also based on that theme. And that's like galaxy brain.
Yeah. Now that I think about it, yeah.
Which
It's the same pattern all throughout.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Which actually is hilarious because the third movement of the symphony starts in minor, but then the end of the symphony, the end of the movement has this huge G major swell, and G major goes perfectly into C major because of harmonic theory. And so there's this huge G major swell, and the point of the way you perform the symphony is you don't even stop between the third and fourth movement. You just do this huge swell, and then bam, hit him with the fourth movement, right?
I like that.
Well, one time I was listening, this is like the best story about music I ever have. One time I was listening to my entire iTunes library on shuffle, and the third movement of Beethoven's Fifth Symphony came on. And of course, it has the big G major swell at the end, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the next song on the playlist was Lenny Kravitz's American Woman, which is in C major. And it was a transcendent moment for me. I was like, ah!
That's when the pop happened.
That's when my brain reorganized itself to make classical inspired rock music forever.
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 So I presume this is the breeding grounds for this here stream tonight.
Yeah. So what we want to do here is I listened through a Final Fantasy the fight theme, the battle theme for Final Fantasy 16. And what I found is that it's broken down into pretty like even sections. So you have an intro that establishes the rhythm, then you have theme A, and it's just like repeat theme A 4 times. And then you have variation on theme A, repeat 4 times. You have a little transition, and then you have theme B, which is longer, like more epic, bigger, but still built on the melodic content of theme A. And then you repeat that, but make it like bigger and more epic, right? And then you settle down and you have a little like theme C, which is quieter and like maybe a little bit more vague and mysterious. And then you bring back the big and you do theme C again in the big way. And then you do a little transition and repeat.
Make it sound so simple.
Well, it's listen, if you have a piece of IKEA furniture with the instructions, you're like, hell yeah, let's do this. If you don't have the instructions, you're fucked. Because all the little pieces look the same, right?
Yeah.
I went to college and got a set of IKEA instructions for music. That's all.
I like that. I like that phrase.
Hey yo, it's Sneaky Bear. Let's go.
Sneaky Bear.
We shouting out the whole crew tonight. I'm here for fight music. Me too. Let's do it.
We will try to provide. And by we, I mean mostly Isaac.
Right. And see, this is the thing. Like, the way that you tell different classical composers apart is partially by their like preferred styles and rhythms, but also by how they develop these little themes. So like Mozart is, in a word, elegant, right? He uses he takes a tiny theme and uses every part of the buffalo, and like builds out these huge things with the simplest of ideas, right? Whereas Beethoven is more like melodramatic. Like he wants his theme to hit you over the head over and over until you understand it and understand the pain that he's going through.
Hell yeah.
The author of Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, Douglas Adams, had a great quote. When you listen to Beethoven, you understand what it means to be Beethoven. When you listen to Mozart, you understand what it means to be human. And when you listen to Bach, you understand what it means to be the universe. And that's That's a great quote.
Wow. That last one though for Bach.
Because what Bach did is Bach was one of the people who helped transition music from the pre-Baroque instruments to the Baroque instruments. And that's a huge deal. Like the tuning of the harpsichord is so different than the tuning of the hurdy-gurdy and the instruments before the harpsichord. It's like it could be an entirely different system of music. And so Bach kind of crystallized how harmony should work. And in that sense, his idea of development is very structured and very repetitive, but in the same sense, it is very beautiful and awe-inspiring. And that's perfect because he mostly wrote music for the church.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know too much about Bach. I'm more familiar with good old Beethoven.
My favorite story about Johannes Sebastian Bach. Well, I have two favorite stories about Johannes Sebastian Bach. The first one, my second favorite story, is that he wrote the Well-Tempered Clavier, the book of music that would change the face of musical tuning around the world. He wrote it in prison, which is great. My favorite story about Johannes Sebastian Bach is that once after hearing the reception for one of his pieces didn't go as well as he thought it should, he walked like 50 miles and punched a bassoonist out of anger. I mean, it's
Man.
like the 1700s. What are you going to do? You can't take a train, or you could take a horse, I suppose. But no, this dude was so angry, he walked across Germany in order to punch a dude.
I aspire to that level of pettiness.
That's based AF. Dude, I didn't understand how cool history was until I started studying music history, because American history is just about what wars we were fighting at a particular point in history. Music history is actually about stories about people, and holy crap, it's so good. Anyway, I like music history. Music history is a whole other beast, truly.
Yeah, for real.
So different composers write different themes.
It's free real estate.
Hey, T Bubbles. Hey, actually, let me set up my ASMR real quick.
Oh boy.
You're probably going to hear my fans in the background. Okay. Can you hear my fans?
Yes.
Oh, join me in following T Bubbles. Yes, Paganini, the violinist who sold his soul to the devil. There were stories about that with Liszt as well. Oh, right. I forgot. I can do this as well to my listeners on Twitch. Really get that ASMR experience. Yeah, people said that Paganini sold his soul to the devil. It's actually where the trading your soul for the musical talent comes from, which then inspired the idea of the crossroads and meeting the devil at the crossroads and trading your soul for musical talent. Although trading your soul for blues talent, guitar talent specifically, comes from a particular blues artist. by the name of Robert Johnson, who wrote the Crossroad Blues and was apparently so good at guitar that he sounded like 2 or even 3 people playing at once when he played. Crossroads historically have always been of spiritual significance, but the American blues really solidified that legend. That's true. That's true. I actually kind of love that legend because there's a very modern take on that legend where in the album To Pimp a Butterfly by Kendrick Lamar, he talks about selling his soul to the music industry, which is represented by a woman named Lucy, which is short for Lucifer, in exchange for fame, money, and power, aka what the industry is trying to tell him is musical prowess. And the message of the album is that it doesn't have any effect on his feelings towards himself and his position in Black culture and his responsibilities towards Black culture. Rather, the only thing that can really help him find himself is rejecting the message of that society and becoming comfortable with who he is, not giving into the music industry, but rather giving into self-insight and discovery and, actualization, self-awareness. Is that
realization?
Is that a good ASMR stream? Is that a good fake ASMR? Are you feeling the tingles in your ears, T-Bubbles?
I'm feeling very small right now.
I hope that was a good redeem. It's 1,500 points. I gotta do something. You don't get the tingles? Me neither.
It was really weird for me, like, because I have my my over-the-ear headphones on one side, and I have my headphones to listen to the stream on the other side. So it was you talking with the ASMR voice at different intervals in both ears, and I was like, I was freaking out.
Fake schizophrenia.
Yeah, I know, right? You are the intrusive thoughts in my head.
Perfect. Also, welcome, T-Bubbles. I hope you're doing well tonight. We're writing some fighting music, but epic fighting music.
Fighting music.
Fighting around the world. So
I feel like we would need bagpipes for that.
So each composer has their own way of developing themes. The themes themselves are widely varied. Oh, look, you're only at 10 in charisma. I didn't want to blow myself up there. 16 or 17? Damn. Okay, well, I appreciate it.
Look at that.
Aw,
Gassing you up.
I know. I'm getting a stat boost from my followers here. Actually, so I had a really good insight the other day. Like, according to the laws of economics, the value of a product is really determined by the buyer, right? Because you can't set the price of the product too high or it won't be bought. So if you're assuming that the product needs to sell, then you're going to want to set it at the highest price that it will still sell at.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And in the same way, a piece of entertainment, if you consider it as a product, the value is set by the viewer of the entertainment.
That's true, and it kind of scares me a little bit.
So then you could say that your do I still have that on here? You could say that your value as a streamer is set by your audience.
Yeah, I would say so if we're looking at it in that way. To certain degrees.
So I was thinking that through, and I gave it as some advice to a friend who was saying that they didn't really see their worth as a streamer, and even though a bunch of people were following them they didn't understand why.
I mean, yeah, from that angle, I could see how that would be helpful to somebody going through troubles like that.
Mm-hmm.
I know for me, it just feels very flimsy. If you get what I'm saying, like depending on the person that you are, and depending on what kind of outreach you have to the people around you. To me, it feels like you can. Oh, the piano scared me. To me, it feels like you can like fast track your way to quote unquote value without really having like hard skills.
Yeah, and I think that's why it's important that if you take that approach, you really need to narrow it down to one, maybe two people that you can really trust to give you honest feedback, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like I think I've said this before on Twitter and stuff, but pretty much everything I do is mostly to just impress my wife. and I have her listen to my stuff, and she absolutely tells me if there's something I need to change. So I have no fear that I'm going to be you know, putting something out that she doesn't like. And honestly, she has a better ear for music than I do. That's so cute. It's a logical thing. Also, not everyone gets all my tweets. Like a lot of them just disappear into obscurity, but occasionally I'll have her scroll through my Twitter and she like laughs at every single one. So I know I'm doing it right.
I always like your tweets.
Aw, I appreciate that. Friendship unlocked.
I mean, it makes sense. Friendship unlocked just now.
Mm-hmm.
Everything before this was the preamble.
Also, sneaky, 6 years of DMing and a 10-person West Marches campaign. That's pretty sick.
Yeah.
I tried to do a West Marches campaign. It lasted about a year and then it kind of fell apart. It was a lot of work. Holy hell. Yeah. Sometime I'll have to bring up the insane spreadsheet that I made to keep track of my West Marches shit. It's so much work. I need there to be like a West Marches in a box tool that someone makes. That'd be amazing. We were talking about writing themes. Themes are random. Themes are silly. Every composer has their own method of developing themes, but the themes themselves vary wildly. And honestly, there's a lot of like references and sub references and stuff like that. So one of Mozart's most famous pieces is variations on like an old French song but uh, today we would recognize that song instantly as Twinkle Twinkle Little Star.
Oh.
or the alphabet song, depending on, you know, which you think of first.
Damn, I didn't even think about that.
Oh yeah, alphabet song and Twinkle Twinkle Little Star have the same melody.
Bruh.
Bruh.
No, it just slapped me in the face all of a sudden. It is, ain't it?
And that's the thing, like how many and if we're talking about Bach, like Bach's themes are almost entirely based on traditional hymns, but
Yeah.
we don't really know those hymns as well as we know the Bach piece that they're based on. That's based on
it's
them.
like,
yeah.
So it's like sampling almost.
It's like sampling. And because of the way that the church was, a lot of the traditional songs weren't written down and are lost to time. Like the church only allowed music to be written down when it was in service of the church.
That's sad.
Yeah, everything. So everything pre-Renaissance is basically lost. Because so much of music was oral tradition, and when systems of music notation were developed by the church in order to get people to sing in unison as a tribute to God, I guess, they only allowed religious music to be written down. And yeah.
Damn. Can you imagine? Like, I'm sure that kind of statistic applies to every other form of media too.
Mm-hmm.
Just like the vast majority of it is just not remembered.
Yeah, man, that's really how it is. It wasn't until Mozart's era when the upper class had so much money that they were able to hire musicians to write music for not church functions, for dance purposes.
So you're saying bourgeoisie saved music?
Kind of, yeah.
Damn it. We're not supposed to give them any ground.
Listen, they saved a very narrow strain of music. But yeah, that's generally considered the like difference between the classical era and the Baroque era. Whereas when stylistically music stopped being about praising God and being performed in church and started being about praising the rich and starting to be performed in, you know, ballrooms.
Yep. Gotta praise the dance.
Yes. And we can thank our classical music daddy, Franz Joseph Haydn, for that.
Why is he classical music daddy?
Because he basically he taught Mozart and Beethoven. He was a composition teacher for Mozart and Beethoven, so he's daddy.
Holy fuck! I didn't know that.
Yeah, he's like, and this is the thing, right? Like so much of music history is all about lineages of composition and people developing on the ideas of their teachers. Like Haydn started writing music for church, but then by the time Mozart was writing dance music, Haydn was writing dance music. And then Haydn was dead, but then Beethoven started by writing dance music and then got into his I'm Beethoven and I have a lot of problems, I'm going to write music about it era.
But Beethoven was the original sad boy. Beethoven
was the original everything. Beethoven generally is seen as having three musical eras. The first is his classical era, when he basically just wrote music like Mozart was writing music, like Haydn was writing music. Is good music, but it wasn't anything like stand out. And then we get to the Romantic era where he writes the Fifth Symphony and the Sixth Symphony, which those two symphonies essentially change the entire direction of music and give this idea that music can tell its own story and stand alone as a piece of art. I bet you didn't know, but the Fifth Symphony, dun 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 dun, the way that Beethoven came up with that theme is he described it as fate knocking upon the door, because he wrote the Fifth Symphony when he was realizing that he was going to go deaf long before he died.
Yeah, I have heard that.
Yeah. So
See, like,
and then the Sixth Symphony is the
Beethoven.
Pastoral, which I talked about with Augie last week or a couple weeks ago.
hey, when was that?
Augie and I had her on the music writing stream a couple weeks ago.
Oh yeah, that's right. I remember now.
Yeah.
The weeks are blending together, man. I'm fucking.
Oh, you were on vacation. Like, it's hard to keep track of time when you're not here for it, right?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah. What the hell was I about to say? Beethoven seems more like a Snoop Dogg kind of character when it comes to classical music, where it's about the persona.
Yeah, he's very much the idea of Beethoven's music is that it's about Beethoven, right?
Yeah, it's more like his personality.
Yeah, but the coolest era of Beethoven, honestly, in my opinion, is the third era, which is the experimental era,
Ooh.
where he basically started writing music that was so advanced and complex that people stopped listening to Beethoven. And in fact,
It's a cautionary tale.
well, in fact, like the entire next 100 years of music, the Romantic era of classical music, just ignored the third era of Beethoven, and they're like, let's just focus on the second part where he was like writing music that had a clear story and themes, and that's the entire breadth of the Romantic era of classical music.
Damn.
But the big exception is the Ninth Symphony.
Ninth Symphony.
The Ninth Symphony. Ba 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 ba
Oh, yeah.
ba
That's right.
ba 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 ba. Yeah. The Ninth Symphony, which was commissioned, and so he didn't write it for himself really. But the cool thing about the Ninth Symphony is that that theme, the Ode to Joy, he was trying to write a hymn, but an original hymn. And that should tell you how many pieces of classical music are just based on hymns. It's like all of them. All of them are based on hymn melodies. But he said, I'm going to write a hymn that's an original hymn. And it's actually hard to do because you have to kind of make it sound simple and singable and melodic without running into a hymn that's already been written.
Yeah, that's pretty baller though.
And
I respect Beethoven for trying that.
He fucking nailed it. He pulled it off, right? Because I mean, everybody knows that fucking melody now.
Oh yeah. Beethoven really said, I'm gonna make my own hymn with blackjack and hookers. And he did it.
And he did it.
I love that.
Yeah, and that Like the other thing that should tell you about how deep into the experimental stuff and how weird the Ninth Symphony is compared to his other late stage works. The amount of time between the premiere of the Eighth Symphony and the Ninth Symphony is about the same amount of time as the premiere from his first symphony to his Eighth Symphony.
Oh, so
he wrote 8 symphonies and basically said, I'm done. Time to go make music for future people. And then somebody's like, no, do one more, please. And he's like, okay, but I'm going to make the best one of all time. They're like, yeah, well, that's what we're asking for. And he still blew him out of the water.
See, I love Beethoven. He might be my favorite.
Beethoven's cool. I love the experimental era, especially though, because some of the stuff that he was experimenting with harmonically actually predicted like super complex jazz music and aleatoric atonal music of the 20th century. So it's like the dude was so good that he made a living out of music doing like the most popular music of the era in his first part of his life. And then in his second part of life, he changed the face of music entirely for the next century. And then in the third part of life, he wrote music that was so good, people didn't even know how good it was for the next 200 years.
He was writing music in the future. He was literally living in year 3000.
He was like impossibly cool.
Yeah, I have to wonder though, because I feel like I always like to think about these kind of things, because I feel like people kind of romanticize the idea about these creators. Like, people seem to think like at the time, it's like, oh, he must have been onto something. He was cooking. I have to wonder how many times Beethoven looked at some shit he wrote and was like, man, this sucks.
Apparently a lot.
Yeah, knowing Beethoven probably.
But the thing is, okay, the thing is that there is an unspoken tradition of classical music that I really love and that doesn't get enough credit because it wasn't written down.
Oh boy.
There was a tradition of classical music that if you're a classical composer, you should also be able to improvise. And remember how I said like themes are pretty random, but each composer has their own way of developing a theme?
Yeah.
Like that's what they would ask composers to do. Oh, hell, mighty Sir Isaac, awesome creativity speculator. That is pretty much what I am at this point.
A creativity speculator. I like
that. Welcome, Robin. We're trying to write music at the same time as talking about, the history of classical music. Anyway, improvisation. So the idea was, as a composer, you should be able to be given a theme or take a theme from a popular song or whatever, or a hymn, of course, and perform a little improvisation on it, right?
Yes.
And the history of Western European classical music. I know that Indian classical music has its own rich history, and I don't know enough about it. Well, yeah, we're talking about Mozart. A mighty hello to your friend. What up? Since
what up, Robin?
We're shouting out everyone tonight. So.
All the shout outs.
Go follow Robin. Super cool dude. Man, actually, I've been trying to take notes on Robin recently because the stuff that he does with like community involvement is so good. Mm-hmm. Like everybody feels like they're participating, right? He structures his streams and his discords in such a way that it just feels like a little community, a little tribe, a little family. And I'm like, write that down, write that down. So
I
yeah,
like that though.
definitely,
I like that.
definitely check him out. Very cool, very fun, earnest creator, which is always something I aspire to.
Yeah, I know. I enjoy watching y'all play Raft. Whenever I'm able to stay awake,
Yeah.
my sleep schedule's been kicking my ass recently.
Well, you were on vacation, right? So
I was on vacation last week, and I don't know. I must just be catching the old because like it's getting hard, man.
well, you
How do
gotta
you find the whole rest of the day? And 10:45 p.m. will roll around, and I'm just like,
you gotta stop. You gotta stop. You know, eating sugar and being on the internet late at night. I know that's your entire career, but
gotta stop eating sugar altogether. Yeah.
yeah. No. So improvisation used to be a huge part of classical music, and all the great composers were known for their improvisations. Like the scene where the scene from Amadeus where Mozart is at a party and he just throws together a random song, 100% how he would do things, right?
Yes.
Bach apparently went to in his old age. Bach went to a friend and fellow music aficionado, and they're like, "Could you improvise a fugue for us?" And Bach, on the spot, improvised a 6-part fugue that was so overwhelmingly good that they immediately had him write it down because they're like, holy shit.
Man, that's like some that's some funkadelic type shit. That's some maggot brain levels of improvisation.
But my favorite story about improvisation is that Beethoven held an improvisation concert where he would take random themes suggested by the audience and then improvise on them, right? And he performed a piece of music. We don't have this piece of music because it was improvised, right? He performed a piece of music so beautifully that people in the audience started weeping. And Beethoven's response to this was to stop playing, declare, "I will not play music for children," and leave. Like, holy shit.
What a fucking Chad, man.
Right?
See, these old like musicians. Like I'm pretty sure I heard a story about Mozart one time. Was it Mozart? Yeah, somebody challenged him to like a music off or whatever. And like they heard him like warming up in the back room. And like he was apparently just so good during his warm up that the other guy just fucking skipped town.
I fucking believe that. There's a story about Mozart where he had an opera going on like the next day, and they're like, "Oh shit, Mozart, you forgot to write the fucking overture. You forgot to write the fucking overture to the opera. We don't have a piece of music to start the opera with." And so he wrote it down. He probably had it all in his head already, but he wrote it down in a night.
It's like a fucking like college student trying to come up with like a paper at the very last minute.
Yeah. And I mean, the overture is a combination of all the different themes of an opera kind of built together, right? So it's not like he had to write anything new, but the fact that he like jam that out in a single night is kind of legendary.
Yeah, I like the image of like you said it was Mozart, right? It's
Yeah.
Mozart sitting in like at a desk, like chugging down a monster and like writing this overture down.
When Epic Rap Battles of History did their Mozart episode, they pitted him against Skrillex.
Yeah, I remember that one.
And I'm like, that's fucking hilarious because if Mozart were alive today, he would be Skrillex.
You know, you're probably not wrong.
Like partying, making simple but powerful music, changing the EDM genre for good. Like that. Not to say like Skrillex is the modern day Mozart, but Mozart would be the modern day Skrillex.
Fucking DJ Mozart.
DJ Mozart. How do we establish the credibility of history? If we do, I believe we're supposed to learn from it and improve. Any ideas how? Big deal, Mozart. I have legendary snoring overnight. Yeah. Talk about what I can do in a night is apparently write 1 minute of 1 minute of simple music.
Yeah, I can pass out in front of my computer. Take that, Mozart.
Where's my drum kit?
Oh, going for an amen break this time.
You know what? Why not?
God damn it. Or is it being serious? God damn it.
The current generation of kids be like, I can binge watch Naruto, take that, Mozart. Man, that's true, but also I wish that I could still binge watch anime.
Oh man. I wish I knew what anime was.
Yeah, there's some anime that you might like.
I have a couple that I like.
Yeah. What's
Yeah,
that?
Fooly Cooly is number one.
Fulukula is your number one?
Yep. Even the new stuff.
Can we... Let me tempo match this, please. That's better.
Can't believe we're going through with the almond break.
What if I did this? What's wrong with the amen break?
It's just a meme. Well, it's not just a meme, but it's a meme. Oh my god.
I don't think that works.
I didn't realize you changed the tempo.
There's a Barbie movie in theaters. Oh yeah, the Barbie or Oppenheimer. What's your take, Con?
Barbenheimer.
Barbenheimer. Which one would you watch first?
I don't know. I am a fan of Cillian Murphy.
Yeah.
So probably Oppenheimer. And I've heard bad things about the Barbie movie. I don't know if I should believe him or not, though.
Bad things how?
I don't know. Like, I heard one person say, like, it was, like, propaganda of some kind. I heard another person say, like, it just wasn't very good. And I'm just like, I don't know who to believe here.
I don't know. I don't know if I trust anyone who says anything is propaganda anymore. I don't trust people to tell me what propaganda is.
I mean, everything's propaganda at this point. So it's kind of a moot point. Because I was pretty interested in the Barbie movie. I like it.
Yeah, the problem with it is it's too fast, I think. So what if we did like this?
What the hell?
Barbie has Dua Lipa in it? Ah, I see. That is some effective propaganda.
That's facts.
So now what if we did this? Yeah, see, the theme doesn't work anymore at the lower tempo. That's what I was
It
afraid
doesn't
of.
work at the lower tempo.
Mm-hmm. It's not dense enough. Or, well, it doesn't work on piano. So let's make this quieter. We need to make sure our shit's lined up. Uh-huh.
Shit.
Yeah, see, it's not quite lined up. That's what we can use this for. I mean, that's something.
It sounds like...
Is it good?
Like the unmean break is starting to like, it sounds like I'm on a train or something.
It's just still too fast. It might still be too fast.
Yeah. Try it just a little bit slower. It sounds bitter.
Yeah, I think it's way too fast. Okay. Let's hit some magic buttons. Yeah. Way too fast. I thought that might be the case.
Yeah, I had a feeling. The almond break has let us down.
No, not necessarily. Not yet. Not yet.
We're committing to the almond break.
When I try to listen, try to understand what the piece is saying, and this sounds confused as fuck. Yeah, it really does, doesn't it? I'm just experimenting at the moment, I think.
I mean, for like a classical piece, I would think the drums need to be on the slower side.
Yeah, I don't think the amen break is what we're going for. Sorry. We used it last time. I don't think it's gonna work today.
I mean, slowing down that first part did sound pretty good on its own, but I don't think it's going to go with this piano.
Yeah. It's telling me to get ready to listen to the start of an epic journey. We do want that, but maybe not on a drum kit. Yeah, see, we want something like... We want something like this.
For some reason, I just had like a flashback to the song "Shooting Stars."
Shooting stars?
Yeah, you remember that meme? By the Bag Raiders.
Boom, 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 boom. Yeah.
Yeah, like that. And how it has the little tambourine in the beginning.
Yeah. We can do
Depending on what kind of pace you want for this song.
We can do something like
something
that.
like that might work.
Let me
Ooh, I like that.
I need to use my proper thing. Nope, this ain't it. Get out of here. And right. So we need nope. Nope. Yeah. Okay. Is that right? Is that too fast? Might be too fast. Nope. It was right. So like do it on the E here. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Do. Yeah.
It's like taking out my brain power trying to keep up.
Yeah. That's the kind of like rhythm we want. Maybe lower. That goes hard.
It builds urgency.
We go hard here. We're here to go hard.
Bricked up.
Okay. Seems good as a baseline.
Indeed.
Okay. Not a baseline per se, but a baseline.
Yeah, not an upright bass line, but a bass line.
So now we get to how is Isaac as a composer, aka how does Isaac develop a theme, right? And what we've got is this little theme here. Let me. That's the theme. That's the basis. So,
yeah, 4 notes.
4 notes. So, what I like to do is, since we have just a variation here, like this is theme A, and we just want like a slight variation. So we'll probably even keep the same chord structure. What I like to do is I like to reverse it and invert it, and then make sure that it's still in the key.
Man, you know how helpful that would be whenever I'm trying to do GarageBand and I have to move every single note on their own.
Yeah, sounds good. But you can clearly see how it's the same theme, right?
Yeah.
And we can even add the oh yo
Hey.
Foxy. Oh my gosh. Thank you so much for the raid. Welcome. We're talking about my worth as a composer. Did the shout out work? I don't know if the shout out worked.
Maybe.
There we go. Join us in following Foxy. Hi, Isaac and Brain.
Yeah, that's me. I am Brain.
Khan is also here. Yes. I've stolen a Khan.
Yep. Pick me up on the side of the road like a stray.
How's the composing going? We're doing actually like more classical composing than ever before.
Yep, the hard stuff for me.
The wild stuff.
I tell you what, if I still had my violin, it'd be over for you.
Beep beep. That's gotta be a G, right? That sounds pretty good.
I like that. That sounds really good to my earballs.
The only part that doesn't sound good is that section right there. And what do we got? We've got an F chord here. Yeah, so the G and B are not members of the F chord, although they are, in classical parlance, this would be an enclosing ornament. So I think there's another term for it. I just can't remember it at the moment. But yeah, welcome. How was karaoke, right? I'm guessing it was karaoke. Slayer, LMG. It was a good time. What'd you sing tonight, Khan?
I did 99 Problems, and then I did
Nice.
the hell is that shit? Never Let Me Down.
Never Let Me Down. Do I know that one?
It's a Kanye song. It's from his first album.
Ah, okay.
It's one of the better songs, I gotta say.
99 Problems, but a hot dog ain't one.
Hell yeah.
That's,
LMG's been to the H3 VR streams.
I don't know if I like that. But what if we did this? Yeah, I like that. Okay. So, theme 1, variation 1, which is basically just rearranging the notes, right?
Correct.
But now we need to do theme B, right? And
Yes.
that needs to be very different. But
How different?
the thing is with this kind of music, you don't want it to like melodically be too far afield, right? You want your music to kind of mesh together still.
Okay, so maybe not too much variation. I'm not sure how much is too much variation.
I think for this one, maybe make it go up instead of down. That's a good idea. I think that's a good idea for the C theme. So let's actually take this, slap it over here, and then just highlight everything and invert it, and we'll do that when we get there. But for the B theme, I was thinking we need something big and epic, right? And so I noticed that in this theme, we have these little tag notes here and here, right? The B and the D. So what if we just erase everything but the last note from each bar and move all these up very simple, but then use that as our genesis and ornament these notes. So we can say
I feel
something.
like it would go with the strings you did earlier.
What's that?
So I feel like it would go good with the strings you did earlier too.
Definitely.
So question, could that count as the variation if you add variation to another instrument?
Well, here's the thing. Each of these, and we'll get into this a little later, but what we've got here is not just theme A, theme B, theme C, but we're going to have different moods based on the melody, right? Theme A is going to be driving and flowing. Theme B is going to be big and epic, and theme C is going to be quiet and tinkly. And because of the different character of the melody, we want to use different instruments to represent the character better. Some melodies sound good on flute, some melodies sound good in strings, some melodies sound good on piano. And that's actually like just a general rule of music. Like instrumentation determines genre and often determines mood as well.
Okay, so we're going to be making like a total package here. It's not just going to be the piano that we're worried about.
Correct. Right now, we're just using the piano as a kind of A lot of people consider the piano to be a sort of like composing in black and white, literally, because it's like the piano. But we haven't added any color to it yet. We're just using the piano as kind of a note palette to develop our melodic ideas before we add in the instrumentation and orchestration.
I see. I see. Okay, that makes it a little bit easier then.
So we've got this C as our first note, and I've changed that C into this. I don't know if I like it though.
What's the mood for this one?
The mood is epic. The mood is broad. The mood is heroic.
Okay, if we're going for that,
That's much
then,
better.
Yeah. Yeah, that does it.
One way to see that different instruments work for different melodies is wind instruments. The player has to pause to breathe at some point. Very true. Very true. The same can be said of string instruments. Like if you're bowing a violin, you have to account for when the violinist needs to turn the bow.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to make a melody very idiomatic for the violin, which making a melody idiomatic to the instrument it's being performed on always makes it sound better.
I'll take your word for it.
So we took all of our opening notes are in here, C, D, C, B, but now we've added a bunch of ornamentation to it, and then we get this more heroic sounding melody. And we'll put that in like horns or shit to make it really good.
It kind of reminds me of like a like the starting area in like an adventure game or something.
That's cool. A lot, yeah. So there's actually, and we can talk about harmony as well. By the way, what software this? This is Ableton Live 10 Standard Edition. So what we can do here is, since we're ending on this we're starting and ending on this C idea, we can actually make this into a major section. But
Okay.
here's the cool thing. We don't have to stick to major. And in fact, there is a chord progression that is so well known for being a heroic chord progression. It's used in everything. And so if we throw this chord progression on here, it's just going to sound heroic as fuck. So let's do that.
I'm excited.
So I think we start, since we have a D here, we start in the G. Yeah. And then we hit them with the, let's see. Yeah, that's right. That's right. And then perfect. And does that actually work? Okay, we might have to adjust our melody a bit. But that's okay. That's okay. The thing is, like, if somebody's listening to this piece of music, they'd have to be pretty fucking sharp to even catch, like, oh, in the A theme it went C D C B, and now in the B theme it's going C D C B, right? They'd have to be pretty sharp to catch that, right?
Yeah.
But nobody's going to even get to that point. So if I change this to a B flat, who the fuck cares if it sounds better, right? So let's listen to it now. And now we have to change this note because it's also out. Yeah. Actually, this sounds good. This is going to sound good as fuck.
I like the confidence.
Heroic AF.
Yes.
And maybe bum bum bum. And we just change the ending slightly so it sounds like a whole new melody. Yep. There you go. The heroic chord progression.
The heroic chord progression.
Yeah, literally every single video game soundtrack uses it.
I'm glad that it's so ubiquitous.
Honestly, this is kind of what I was hinting at earlier. Like, if this changes to a E flat and a B flat instead of an E and a B, right? The point is not that, you know, my precious thematic consistency is ruined. The point is that I need to change those notes in order to convey the harmonic feeling that I want to convey. And if I don't convey that harmonic feeling, then the mood of the piece is lost, right? So you can be as technical as you want, but in the end, it has to sound good.
Okay, because that's kind of a hang-up of mine.
It's fun and interesting to sound above technical consistency. Yeah. It's fun and interesting to take these kind of like technical experiments and see how far they'll go. But if anyone asks, it's jazz inspired. Yeah. Precisely. So I think what we do now for this C section is we kind of take this idea of the little rising bit and repeat it a few times. Not that far down. Sounds a little peppy, but we can work with that.
Yeah.
And then do something
Even though
like
it's descending.
do. Yeah. if we just went boo doo 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 doo? Would that get back to where we needed to be? Not quite. So let's try moving it up. Up. Not bad. Give it a xylophone, you have a nice playful moment. Yeah, that's what I was actually thinking about some sort of keyboard instrument for this section for sure. Maybe keep it to piano, but xylophone would be cool.
A kazoo.
The kazoo's for the B section. And then let's think about harmony for this section. So important to note, we're leading back towards a C, but we can yeah, that works. I don't like this one though. That's because we're on the... What if we did that? Nope. There we go.
I'm being put into a trance.
So now what we've got is an A theme. Turn off strings. I need to change something in this. So the first section has some nice little rhythmic variation. This needs rhythmic variation. BDD. Yeah. Nope.
I do like that.
Honestly, rhythm makes such a big difference. Okay. So we've got our themes. We can also take this moment to write the intro and transitionary material, which isn't going to be thematic per se, but it will be harmonic. So we can...
Then it'll fit into harmony.
Yes. And honestly, the transition and the intro are just going to have the same harmony as the A theme because we want to emphasize that harmony. But this transition, we need to go from A minor to C major. And that means we need to end on, do you remember what chord goes into C major? I said it earlier in the stream.
Man, I didn't know there was going to be a test. I would have been taking notes.
It's G major. We need to end on G major.
That's right. I should know that.
So the chord that, but then the chord that goes into G major is D major. But D major isn't in the scale. So what we can do instead is, let's see. We can use D minor as a pivot chord, which looks like we already have D minor here. So instead of doing that, let's see. We use F there. Yeah. Which means that these need to go up. And I guess this can go up too. Yeah, that's good. So now what we've got is we've got these first two chords. Well, these first three chords form an A minor progression. They make sense in A minor. But then these last two chords make sense in C major. And so this third chord is kind of acting as our pivot chord. So if
I see where you're going with this now.
If you listen to it, we're in A minor. C major. Smooth AF.
I do like that.
And like I said, this is a transition, so we don't really need melodic content, although we will probably steal some melodic content from the themes. What we really need to focus on is the harmonic linking content.
See, I am learning something here.
Good. That's why I do this. I teach you specifically. I know you're only
just me.
I know you're only getting 10% of what I'm saying, but
No.
no, I'm just kidding.
So you were listening to what I said about
yes.
teaching earlier.
Yeah. Now we have the entire melodic and harmonic content of the piece. Huzzah!
Wow, that's kind of impressive, actually, that we were able to come up with that in just an hour and a half.
It's not too complicated. And also I had the form already laid out from another piece of music. So, hello, Alta Phantasma. Thank you for the first.
That's a fancy name.
I'm surprised no one had got it yet. So now what we do is we build our, did no one claim it? You claimed it. You got it. Somehow an hour and a half in, no one had it yet. So now what we do is we put together our palette of instruments.
Oh boy, what you feeling like?
Well, I really like this string thing that we put together.
Yeah, I do like the strings. It could be my bias talking, but I'm a fan of the strings.
So let's actually do two different string sections, and we'll have one string section that has more of supporting the melodic ideas and one string section that has more of supporting the harmonic ideas. Oh, also, LMG, I'd be happy to teach you. Also, sick Augie emote.
That is an Anki emote.
It is. The strings give me strong ace combat vibes. Excellent. Combat is what we are here for. So then we just want to insert like a few MIDI tracks.
Yeah, I was gonna say, since LMG is here, the theme for Arrow Strike goes hard as fuck. That's good combat music too.
Oh shit. I guess I did not even think about the fact that LMG probably composed that, right?
Yeah,
That's cool.
as far as I'm aware.
That is cool. All right. So Final Fantasy. There's an instrument that is a requisite. Oh, Blue playing cards. Have a good night. Thank you for stopping in. I'm sure you were a holdover from Foxy's stream. But yeah, thanks.
Nighty night.
Thanks for stopping in. Hope you have a good night. So we need a French horn ensemble. Absolutely requisite. Trumpets also are very Final Fantasy. Ooh, Takegon VT. We shouting out the club in here tonight, so Takegon VT. Let's go.
That's a nice name.
Takegon.
Let's go.
You composed it, but you can't say it was as carefully planned as this. Man, it doesn't have to be carefully planned as this. I'm going way harder than I need to.
It hits all the spots that it needs to.
Yeah. Hope you're having a great day / night. We are literally having a great day / night, as it is day for me and night for Khan.
Ain't that just a happy little accident?
Do we have like harp? Harp? We have harp.
Do we have harpsichord?
Do we have harpsichord? We do have harpsichord.
Hell yeah.
I mean, I'm just gonna keep adding instruments here.
Yeah, get all the instruments.
Every single one. Day or night? Which side are you on? I'm on the day side. Day man.
The night man.
Day man. Fighter of the night man. Champion of the sun. God. That show is such a piece of trash, but I really like it.
I mean, you're right. There are some good parts, and I definitely say Danny DeVito is the best part of that show.
Danny DeVito, like there's the thing in like the Avatar fandom where it's like Toph from Avatar: The Last Airbender is like a classic example of a character who wasn't in the original show, introduced later, made everything better. And it's like also Danny DeVito from It's Always Sunny. Like Danny DeVito was like, "Hey, I like this show. Hire me." And they're like, yes, sir, Mr. DeVito."
God, what a fucking boss. He just walks in there like, I want to be part of this.
Okay. I think we have a good amount of instruments right now. We all have our guilty pleasures. LMG is the Arrow Strike OST on YouTube. Tell me. Yes, it is.
Yes, it is.
All right, let's go listen to Arrow Strike OST. Flight of the Potato.
Flight of the Potato.
Is that what we're looking for here?
I remember it being called something different. I don't remember no potato.
Are you gonna copyright strike me, LMG? Are you gonna take my channel down for playing your original music? No, I'm joking. Okay, cool.
So this is the theme song you need for the Potato Strike skin. Okay.
You didn't have to go this hard for the potato skin. Dang,
I really like the.
this game looks intense.
The development one. It's really good.
And I turned the blur off. I didn't have to. That's why I did.
MG is the hero we need but not deserve.
Well, I mean, in essence, it's the same idea. You have a very simple theme and you're just kind of iterating on it and repeating it in different styles with different rhythms, right? It's good.
Yeah. I think the one I was thinking of, the Flight of the Arrow Strike.
Flight of the Arrow Strike. Oh yeah. Area 1 theme. Let's go. Introducing a song on a single instrument is pretty classic. The video is 2 separate songs. First, the Rome song for Area 1, then Flight of the Arrow Strike, the theme of the game. I see.
Yeah. I really like the instruments that are used for this game's soundtrack.
Yeah, what instrument library or palette did you use? There's definitely a lot of synth stuff in here.
Mm-hmm. But it's like always building up now.
It's a browser step sequencer called Beepbox. Cool.
Ooh.
Kind of scuffed, but it did the job just fine. Hey, sound and mood is way more important than all this technical garbage. So I think it does well.
Yeah, it just hits really well with the theme of the game being like an underground, like, hangar. Oh, here it comes.
Oh yeah. That's classic. This is sick.
It is, man. It's so good.
That's like a classic funk thing, is once you establish the theme, you start adding in the hi-hat.
It's so good, though.
Big cushy synth.
I like this little back half of it, though.
Sounds pretty sick.
Mm.
This is one of the things that a lot of classical composers kind of forget about, is that variation can just come from changing the rhythm or the instrument. You don't actually have to change the theme of the music. You don't have to change the melody at all.
Mm-hmm.
You can just make things like progressively more epic, and it'll function as a piece of music, right? It's not very like academic or sophisticated, but it is very effective.
Yeah.
Yeah, I took those from Tool, where simply adding or removing instruments changes the feel and mood. Absolutely. We're gonna let this finish playing, but I have a piece of music as well. It.
That thing goes so hard, man.
Yeah, that's sick. It's almost as if different instruments sound different. It's true. So, this is a piece of music called Bolero by Maurice Ravel. And you've probably heard it before in your life. It's pretty quiet at the moment.
Is there like a notable like stinger in it that I'm gonna recognize?
Yeah. I mean, if you don't recognize it already, you probably won't recognize it. But the idea behind Bolero is it's just this one melody, and it's orchestrated in tons of different ways. And the orchestration and the color alone provide this arc to the piece, right?
Yeah, because it's like it started out simple, and now it's like, did the symphony add in like another? What would that be, like a flute or a fife or something?
At this point, I think that is a flute and an oboe.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
But then you get like everybody's going at it, right?
Yeah. But it's the same melody.
Yeah, exactly. In beatbox, I am limited to 8 patterns per instrument, which I decided to embrace in the composition of the songs. Dude, limitations are a huge part of the creative process. That's super awesome.
Yeah, I love that. It's wonderful.
But yeah, a big thing that a lot of composers forget is that, you know, you don't have to have these like thematic variations. You can literally just repeat, but with different instrumentation, and it'll still sound really good. So,
Something worth noting.
something worth noting. So we have French horn ensemble, we have trumpet ensemble, harpsichord, and a percussive track, as well as strings and piano. So, what instrument should carry the first rendition of the theme?
So first little part of the theme. What mood are we going for?
The entire thing is going to be kind of like fighting music. So this first little theme, I want it to be kind of like, you know, getting ready to scrap, you know.
So like squaring off with somebody.
Yeah.
Could we just leave it blank?
We could. That ain't it. What if we did... that sounds right.
It almost sounds like a football game.
I mean, that's okay.
You say that like it's a bad thing or something?
You trying to tell me that football's bad?
Depends on which kind of football. No, I'm just kidding. That'll get me skinned alive.
So what I'm doing here is I'm using a function on this instrument called a key switch. Down here in the C-1 range. So let me see. Where's that on the piano? Yeah, so my piano on screen, it's an octave lower than even my full 88 key piano goes.
Oh, okay.
But what we do down here is if I set a MIDI note to this note, then it changes the articulation of the strings, how they play the notes. So
Oh,
and I think I like that one.
yeah.
Because especially it fits with the trumpets. Quick strikes sounds nice. Agreed. It almost feels like hero versus villain, doesn't it?
Man, those strings sound good.
Thank you. It took me a fucking long time to make my little. So what I did here is I built an instrument rack where I have the different string samples all kind of lined up into the registers where they're meant to be played, and then I've got a couple different functions on the end of each string ensemble that link over to these knobs here, which I can then adjust these knobs to change the tone of the strings on the fly. So I can do like change the upper tone of the strings. Make them sharper, right?
I can feel that.
Yeah. Took fucking forever to figure out how to do that. But now I have this string ensemble rack, and it essentially like makes it so that I can just pull this cool string sound and adjust the tone as I like it out of my back pocket, which is hella cool.
I like that.
Yeah.
It's useful. Makes
So,
me wish GarageBand had something like that.
well, so it's not actually, you could actually do something like this in GarageBand because here, let me see if I can share this window. So I have a thing here. Can I actually share this window? No, I can't. God damn it. Let me see if I can do this instead. Display capture. My fucking display capture. Oh my god. Okay. So as you can see, there's this little box here that isn't captured by the window capture. So this is the Contact 5 sampler. And
Mhm.
I actually purchased it and it was hell expensive. But then in here, I have all these instruments, including the French horn ensemble. And here you can see the articulations and the instrument controls. They have like super weird options in case you're into that, but it also shows you the range of the instruments as well as the key switches. Like you could import that into GarageBand.
Oh, okay.
That's the thing. Like it's not native to Ableton Live. What Ableton Live lets me do is automate all these little things into an instrument rack, which I love. I love that.
Yeah, it's always nice figuring out your tool set.
Yeah. So we need to. Nope. We need to figure out our articulation here. Oh, hey Mags. Welcome. Are you worried about the are you freaking out? I never know what that face is. The what face?
I love that face. It can be used for so many things.
It concerns me. Oh wait, fuck. That's way too loud. Down a bit, please.
So what kind of feeling are we going for here?
Big, powerful. Not that big though. We could probably even throw the trumpets on here too. Let's solo.
So this is still like mid-fight.
I would say this is like the triumphant.
Okay, so this is after the fight.
This is like the knockout blow.
And yeah, it's definitely got to be some horns.
Yeah. And then maybe, well, we have harpsichord. Maybe instead of harp, we take the advice of the fellow composer and do xylophone. Where my xylophone at?
Where's my hurdy-gurdy?
Do I have a hurdy-gurdy on here?
Oh, God. I'm bumping into the microphone.
Do I actually have a hurdy-gurdy on here?
I love a good hurdy-gurdy.
I don't know if I do. Why is no hurdy-gurdy?
Because they're expensive.
Yeah. Hurdy-gurdy is a super fun instrument, though.
Bro, I remember I seen a video on Twitter one time, a guy playing a hurdy-gurdy. And it sounded like an entire orchestra all at once.
I mean, they were meant to. That's like the purpose.
Oh, is that the gimmick?
Yeah.
Just to replace a whole orchestra.
I mean, that's the same thing that the piano was meant to do.
Yeah, but I don't know if I buy that one or not. I could see a hurdy-gurdy replacing an orchestra. I couldn't see a piano replacing an orchestra.
What do you think?
I like how it bleeds over into is that the harpsichord?
Yeah. Xylophone and harpsichord. What a combo.
Very eclectic. I like it.
Mm-hmm. All right. So, for ease of use, I'm going to rename these real quick. But now we have our melodic instruments, right?
Yes.
It's important to make sure the sound is filled out, right? And that means that we want to have kind of a purpose for almost every instrument in each section. That way, when the harpsichord comes in with the melody in the like end of the C section, it doesn't just sound like, oh my gosh, a harpsichord.
Yeah, you're right about that.
Mm-hmm. And that's where we get the harmonic elements going. So our string, we also have this rhythmic element. So which actually, I need to check the articulation on this. Is this the best articulation? Yeah, it's still rough. So what I'm going to do here is introduce some variation in the velocities.
Mm-hmm. Ooh.
And I wonder if that's enough. Maybe all down. Uh-huh.
I'm getting Dark Souls vibes for some reason.
Daredevil vibes, Dark Souls vibes. I mean, that's all good, right? Very good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. I kind of like this down then up thing. So now what we do is we go into our harmony and we just make sure all the notes are in line. So we've got an A chord here. I mean, the D is kind of its own note, but is this an A note? It is not. So maybe and then this goes from A to F. A down to F. If it's not in line, it adds extra tension, doesn't it? It does. But we have to select where our tension comes in, because tension, too much tension can ruin the harmonic framework. So right now, this D note is in every single measure, but it's not in every single chord. It's kind of a tense note. The same with the E, although the E is a little bit more stable than the D. So we do have some harmonic tension there, but we want these emphasis notes to definitely be in line with the chords, because eventually the chords won't be there. And we want the harmony to come through. And that's actually, so another thing that we can do to make the piece sound cohesive is keep a thing running through it. And I think this is a good thing to keep running through it.
The strings?
Yeah.
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 You playing to the crowd now.
I know. So what we can do is we can highlight both of these at once and then just go through and make sure our notes line up. So D, A, F, A, G. No comments about what that spells. F, A, F. And then this one is also a G. So yes, very good. But now we get to the the major section, and we do want to change here. But what did we change to? The question on everyone's mind. Let's just lift it up a little bit. And then this needs to go here. And that looks good. Except, so you see we have this, our base note here is G, but now we have a G sharp in the harmonic structure. So what we want to do is we just want to like lift it up. But if we're providing that upward motion, we're kind of going to want to do it for this one too. Which
Makes sense to me.
Yeah, which means this goes up here. And this goes here. So then take all this. Put it in here. And then theme C is going to be an interesting part because maybe we don't necessarily want to have this running thing running through it, right? If it's supposed to be a little bit quieter. But we can listen to it and give it a shot. All right, let's stop it. Too loud, too loud, too loud, too loud, too loud. Or I guess maybe this is just too quiet. The poor xylophone is getting very drowned out. Okay. I actually like the continuation of this in the C theme, but maybe we can alter it slightly. Instead of doing this, we can just do this. So it's kind of more harmonically static. But that's okay because the C theme is also supposed to be calmer. Yeah, that seems good. Okay, so we have something to do for the running strings the entire time.
Good, because those are like my favorite parts.
It's the energy.
It is very kinetic.
Yes. So we have the energy and we have the melodies. We need to make sure to balance them, of course, but we also need to bring in the harmonies, and we need to figure out where the harmonies should be brought in. So I'm thinking that the strings should kind of have the harmony sometimes.
And when you say that, what exactly do you mean?
So let's just turn off the piano and listen to this. See, but we need to make sure our articulations are correct. Very important. See, it sounds all right.
Oh, I like it.
But I think it could be like lower.
There's one thing I like, it's sustained strings.
Strings are pretty sick. So that seems good. Pretty basic, but good. But now we get to the variation where we want the strings to take the melody. And we lose the harmonic content. See what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah.
So what we maybe do is add it to the trumpets. But we need to make sure that the trumpets use a different key switch. Let me just make sure I have that key switch. Okay, they use an octave up. So they trade off the harmony part.
I do like that. The little changeover.
Yeah. And we can actually make this harmonic section in the trumpets more interesting by spreading it out. Because so this is getting deep into the music theory. Harsher sounds like trumpets struggle when they are close together. That's why fanfares are a thing, because in fanfares the notes are super close together and they are meant to be loud and blasty and in your face, right? But if you want your trumpets to melt into the background, all you have to do is spread the notes out a little bit, and then you've got a good recipe for a softer. Got to make sure my key switches are on. Yes. Okay. So our harmonic texture in the next section, I think should come from the horns, because the horns are going to be playing the next melody. So if we have the horns come in early with maybe like a different articulation. And we can make them louder too. Get out there.
Oh yes.
And again, they are very bunched up here, so it's kind of overwhelming versus the line here. So what if we do two things? First, let's double this line an octave down, because we got 3 notes playing versus the 1 note here. Yeah. And also, so we can get rid of the unnecessary notes in this this line. So what's an unnecessary note? It depends on the context. But we have the E in the string part. So we can kind of get rid of E here. And then here, C is the unnecessary note, A, and then D. And I mean, that's the music theory stuff. It's the 5th of each chord. But now if we listen to it, smoothly transitions into the melody.
It does. It's really nice.
Yeah. And because we just took out the 5th of the chord, we're still getting the important 3rd note and the root note, so we still get the harmony. So now the question is, in our main theme, in our like our heroic theme, who gets the harmony? And once again, let's just throw it into the instrument that is going to be entering, the xylophone and harpsichord, right? That doesn't sound very good. Doesn't sound quite right, huh? So what we can do is use a little plugin or a MIDI effect called the arpeggiator.
I love that word.
And we can put it on both of these.
Damn, that xylophone is going in. Oh shit.
We give them different patterns.
Bro, the arpeggiator is too strong. This shit is great.
Oh yeah. So the other thing we can do is change these notes, and it'll change what notes are being played by the arpeggiator. And that'll help it also be smooth.
Get big. Dig Dug vibes.
Absolutely. And I think for this, we can even go get some bass in there. what we do. And I think there's a good way to do this. Yeah. Let me just see. Ableton Live 10, record MIDI from arpeggiator.
Oh boy. Now we're getting into the Google territory.
Yep. Got it. Okay. So what we do is we make a new MIDI track for each of these. And we say input from Xylo post effects, record, and then and it's in piano, right? But it's actually recording the MIDI after the arpeggiator.
Oh, okay. So it's MIDI.
Yep. And then we put that back in the xylophone, and we good. And then we can do that same thing from the harpsichord.
Hell yeah.
And drag. We got our notes. Drag them down, and then we can get rid of these other MIDI things. Goodbye. Also, I'm gonna just. So now we have these. We have this arpeggiator, which we don't need anymore. Goodbye. And we took the arpeggiator and made it make a pattern for us. And then we took that pattern and just recorded it. And now we have this pattern.
Just like that.
Yep. And now we can even change the pattern too. Like if I wanted to, which I might actually want to, we can take this and then shift it down an octave. So now our harpsichord sounds like this. And I kind of like that.
Sounds very 80s.
It does, doesn't it? All right. So now the question comes, who do we assign the chords to in the soft section? And I think we do strings again, but we do like high strings with a different articulation. Gotta remember.
Always.
Okay. So, cool. So now we have, and assuming that we'll put that over here as well. So now we have a harmony in every section, and a melody in every section, and a rhythm in every section.
Yes.
Yes. We
It's
can
all coming together.
kind of listen to it as a full piece of music now. Although I did want to. There we go. So now we should start talking about balance because things are not balanced.
Now, when you say balance,
When I say balance, I mean volume between different sections.
Okay.
So we kind of go through
Okay.
section by section. We need more rhythm here and less chords. Which actually, I think we're going to have another string instrument here. Because the melodic sections of the strings are just so different than the harmonic sections of the strings.
yeah.
All right, sounds good. Yeah, sounds good.
Kendrick Lamar.
Kendrick Lamar. Sounds good.
I do like that.
I'm almost feeling. Let's listen to this.
What happened?
Oh my goodness, that's too much.
Damn. How you feeling about that xylophone?
I'm not feeling it.
I was gonna say, depending on how you wanted to play it, it could be like whimsical, but in keeping with the rest of the instruments.
Yeah. Who said the xylophone? LMG said the xylophone. I don't know if I'm feeling the xylophone, LMG. Sound has to win out. Let's go into that xylophone, see if there's a better instrument. What about glockenspiel?
A triangle.
Well, that's basically what
Glockenspiel.
a glockenspiel is. I said it was going to be playful, not that it was the best choice. Very true. What about a marimba, though? I like the marimba.
Will we be able to hear it though? Will it read?
Sometimes you don't need it to read directly. So if we just solo these two, we can try to balance it here. It just provides a little bit of hang on the front of it, you know? It's almost exactly like what we were talking about with the making our own snare drum out of a transient, a body, and a tail, right? In classical music, you can kind of do the same thing where you've got the marimba, which is a hard strike, and the violin, which is a pull, and you can combine the strike with the pull to get its own little like sound.
Okay, because I'm gonna trust your judgment on that because I can barely hear the marimba.
If I turn the marimba off, the violins in the backgrounds kind of become this smooth, glidey sort of wavy sort of thing. With the marimba on, they become more pointed. It's a pretty subtle distinction, to be fair.
I can kind of hear it.
Yeah,
I can kind of hear it.
But we do want the marimba to be in there to build up to the marimba here. Which actually, with marimba, what you can do, which is real nice, is just double that shit.
Ooh, that does sound nice. Pleasing to my cochlea.
Yeah, we'll have to do some balancing here, but and also this needs to be balanced a little bit better as well. Oh, come on. Ableton was fighting me for a second there. I thought it might quit out.
Yeah, I saw that. I got really nervous.
I haven't had too many instances of Ableton truly dying on me, which is a testament to its power. But
have you saved though?
I've been saving like a motherfucker. I'm in the good habit. Okay. So now we're adding a few more instruments to this to make it even more powerful.
Okay.
Sounds pretty good. Okay.
Yeah, I like it.
All right. Now this part, I know we're gonna have to. Sadly, I got to bail. Have fun finishing your epic. Thank you so much, and thank you for letting us show off your music because it was quite good.
See you, LMG.
See ya later, LMG. Or maybe...
Ooh, that sounds
I could see
like rain.
either of those. Let's... Can we? No, we can't. C6 is the highest it can go, so we can't move this up an octave.
Mm.
But I almost feel like these are still too loud.
Harpsichord almost makes it sound like electric.
So let's try some. We talked about how spreading the notes apart can make it sound more airy, more open. Why don't we try that here? Yeah, that works. What if we did this as well? It's like a different open. And maybe even down an octave? Oh, we're starting to run into the other thing, right? Because this is E2, and this is E2 now. Okay, shit. That's better. Yeah, I don't know about the harpsichord.
Yeah, me neither. It sounds like, it almost sounds like a feedback loop almost.
Yeah, let's see if there's another instrument. Maybe just the harp.
I don't know.
But the harp needs to be much higher.
Yeah, I was gonna say, could a harp compete with all of this?
I do like that. But now we also need to see how this sounds. I mean, that sounds kind of nice, actually.
Wow, that's ethereal.
Can't even hear it, though.
Maybe not with everything else, but like on its own, that would be really good.
Yeah, so maybe this idea in different chords can carry over from earlier sections. So what if we took this and this and we just made sure they lined up? Mm-hmm. Like that and like that. Move all this here.
Ooh.
This, yeah.
Discord be acting up.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Ooh.
Can
Yeah,
you,
we got a red bar down there.
uh-oh. Can you hear me? Oh, I think it's on your end.
Are you going through a tunnel?
Yeah, no.
No, that figures.
Yeah, that's good. I like that. So let's put that in all the places that it is.
I do like that.
And then let's take this and where's our, here we go. Let's take this and this and, oh, let's take this and make sure we're on the right thing. Okay, so we start out the same and then we go to,
now we're back.
welcome back. I personally never left, so
yeah, it's a skill issue on my part.
skill issue, my dude. Oh man, that comic I sent you, I can't stop thinking about, or that comic that I tagged you on Twitter. I can't stop thinking how Argyle from Stranger Things just shows up as like, "Hello, I am Argyle from hit Netflix series."
I liked it when Anton Chigurh showed up from No Country for Old Men, personally.
Yeah.
I don't even think he said anything. He was just there.
So this is no longer a harpsichord, but rather a harp.
I really like that sound, though.
Yeah, it's pretty slick, isn't it? Let's see how it sounds in the context of everything. It provides kind of this like bassy bed for everything else to sleep upon.
Yeah, it's like you take the rest of the band here and you put it in like a sewer. You get reverb going on.
My repeat was still on. So that's like a minute of music.
I like it. It's really, really like well designed minute of music.
Yeah. I'm starting to think though that something we could do is extend the A section. So if we just insert some more space here, I'm almost feeling that we could take these ideas. Oh, not like that. One thing at a time, please. So what if we did this? Oh, wait. Don't you dare try to sell me this shit without my harp and rhythm in it. Oh shit. Okay, give me a second. What do we got here? 100 velocity, and then this is also 100 velocity, just at a different articulation, of course. All comes back to the articulations.
Good old articulation.
I know. Uh-huh, uh-huh, uh-huh. And what's this articulation? Also D sharp. Wait, no, another D sharp. I see. So yeah, so essentially what we can do here is extend this section using the exact thing that LMG was talking about. Like we're just changing the color of what's happening, and it still works.
That's pretty. I like that.
Almost feeling that we could do this though. Yeah. More variation. So what if we
More.
did more? Okay. I think the through composition is done. So now we can start talking. I can delete these reference tracks up here. Now we can start talking transitions between each section.
Mm-hmm.
And how do you emphasize transitions? With percussion, of course.
Very grandiose.
Yes. So we've got our percussion here. Ta-da! But But as I was taught in composing school, um, percussion is like the frosting. If you don't have a good cake, uh, like the frosting is the most delicious part of the cake. But if you don't have a good cake, then the frosting balance is like totally ruined.
Yeah, that's one way to put it.
So one thing I want to do is I want to go through each transition and see what we can do. See what we can do to build into each transition properly. So let's take a look at this. Maybe we can move this up an octave. So then it goes up into the melody. Yeah, that sounds good. And let's do the same here. Maybe we can even like just take these up an octave. Nah. I like that bassy undertone. Let's keep that as it is. And the rhythm really shouldn't change too much.
I think I'm starting to go ear blind.
I feel you. The other thing that we can do to help the transitions is automation. So what I can do here on this string ensemble is I can go into my instrument rack, and then you can see I have my like this knob here, upper gain. I have upper gain here as a thing that I can adjust. But let's do lower gain, and let's just highlight this section and just bump it a little. And let's see how that sounds. Maybe too much bump. Too much bump there. Just a little crescendo into the theme.
Man, that automation tool is something else.
We can also you can do automation in GarageBand for sure.
Man, I need to figure out how, because
I can show you. I can show you the automation tools. Shining, shimmering, splendid. What if we just did?
I've never seen that movie.
Oh, you've never seen Aladdin?
Nope.
Oh, wow. All right. So on the trumpet, we don't have our same little like gain tool. But what we can do is go into our audio effects and just add a utility plugin to the end of it. And that we can change the gain on.
Mm-hmm. Working the system.
Working the system. So then we highlight here. Back down. And up. So just a little like crescendo in our trumpets whatchamacallits chords. That's way too much. Way too much.
Too much automation.
Yeah, I think what I want is that they go down and then come back up. And the same thing we can do with the French horns here. I think it's gonna have to be pretty subtle because it's already pretty loud. But we can take this and we can just start it a tiny bit softer and a tiny bit louder, and then just keep it loud. Yeah. Yeah.
I like that. It's pretty. It's so pretty.
It's so pretty. It's so pretty. Have a wonderful night, guys. Living the song. Oh, thank you. And you have a wonderful night too. So I'm thinking that something we can do here, just real cute, like, is cut everything out right before the end.
Hell yeah.
And then we get a little bit smoother transition because there's just less volume going in. Okay, let's go back into the automation. Now here, I think, let's just take down the lower gain and raise up the upper tone here. Yeah. So now we figure out where we want to put the percussion. Figuring out where we want to put the percussion.
Well, you said it was transitionary. I assume it would be in between all the stuff.
Yes. So
Eat your heart out, Mozart.
So we've got a fair amount of percussion.
I'd say so.
So let's just... I don't want to start without a gong in the idea. Seems a
I
little
mean, we could.
intense.
I like those castanets.
I think maybe we start off with a bass drum. And maybe there's like a bass drum rhythm going throughout. Bum, bum, bum.
Yeah.
Like maybe like this.
Yeah, something nice and simple.
Yep. So maybe we do it everywhere but the sea theme. I'm sure you won't even be able to hear it on like your cell phone, but you know. All right. So do we want a snare part?
Think that would fit with something like this.
Well, I'm not thinking like a backbeat. I'm thinking more like a military snare. We're not trying to make
work.
not trying to make a funk beat, right? I'm thinking something maybe like this. And I'm starting to notice something. Let me just. We need more separation between these notes.
Oh, you think so?
Yeah. I do. I don't know. What do you think?
I think it could go either way, depending on what vibe you're going for. I mean, we do have the really low drums already.
I mean, and this is not enhancing a transition. This is enhancing the rhythm. My question, I guess, my question really is this rhythm enough? I mean, sorry. Or do we want the additional snare? Maybe we don't need it. The string
I don't
rhythm
know.
is
It's hard.
string rhythm is pretty baller.
Yeah, you know I'm always going to side with the strings.
All right. Okay, so next up we have the transitionary elements, and those are usually symbols. So let's not that one.
Well, you did mention a gong earlier.
Yes.
It's like you were teasing me with the right symbol.
So I wonder if we could do something like oh gosh. What note is that? C3. Something like this.
See it.
See what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's better. It's better when it kind of eases in there.
Yeah. And we don't really need another big transition like that until the transition into like the theme. So what if we just take these and move them here, and then maybe even here and here, but then like delete those. Okay, let's try that. Once you've got a good transition sound, you want to use it to help delineate the form. So we've got our first theme. Like that.
Yeah, it's almost like a little indicator for the audience.
Mm-hmm. I think we can even make the percussion a little quieter, and that'll still cut through. Yes. Okay. So we have our big transition moment. Let's make a small transition moment, which we can put on the in-between areas. So let's see. That was our big one. Yeah, I kind of like that one. So F#3, we just row that at the beginning of variation A. Maybe we throw that on the repeat of the big theme, and then we can use that as our transition back into the repeat sign as well. So now we've got not loud enough. Too loud. Yeah. And then what's that loudness? That is velocity of 61. So let's make our other velocities 61 as well. And you do want to match up the velocities on these kind of instruments because the tone changes.
Yeah, because velocity is just like velocity is like how hard something's being struck, right?
Yeah. So for MIDI instruments, velocity correlates directly to volume. Like if you hit if you hit the keyboard note hard, it's loud, and if you hit the keyboard softly, it's quiet. But for actual instruments, how hard you hit an instrument increases how much of the instrument actually resonates. So by increasing the velocity, you actually change the tone of the instruments by bringing out louder upper frequencies and overtones in the instrument. That's why a trumpet that's playing soft and quiet sounds very different than a trumpet that's blasting. And that's true in this instrument pack as well. They actually recorded, like, instead of just saying like, here's a cymbal sound and you can play it soft or loud, they actually had a cymbalist play a soft cymbal and then play a loud crash, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we have two transitions, big transition and little transition, and they are appropriately placed. So then the other thing that you can do with percussion is emphasize other parts, right? And we talked about this a little bit with the snare drum and the rhythm, right? We could emphasize the rhythm with the snare drum. And I'm actually thinking that in the intro, that might not be what we want to do, but this big section, maybe we do want to do.
Right.
So let's get that snare drum rhythm back here, and let's see how it sounds leading into the transition. Yeah, it sounds pretty fucking good, I think.
It sounds a lot better.
Yeah. And we can even increase the velocity on the second half. And then copy this and then put it into our big moment. And just slam the fuck out of it. Just really go for it. Copy that. And the nice thing about the snare drum is that we can also do the classic, the roll. And we can just make that roll loud as fuck. Although we did, yeah, let's see how this sounds. that not the roll sound? It is not. Is that the roll sound? Maybe. Also, I want to
Sounds like it.
louder, please. Fuck yeah. Let's just make all this loud as hell. Okay. Amazing.
I would say so, yes.
Man, I had a whole rant to go on today, and this song is taking longer than expected.
Holy shit! I just noticed what time it was.
Yeah, it's a bit late.
Well, if you can put a pin in your cap, we can go over that rant on the next music stream.
Oh, hey, Ray Pierre, sup, Isaac House composing.
Ray,
Give it a listen. The notes are giving me that 2000s hip hop vibe, like something out of Akon.
I was feeling some of that too earlier.
Yeah. I think the one thing I noticed that I want to change is, in fact, these notes are too loud. There we go. It makes me want to sing smack that while this song is playing. Oh, I see. Man, if we can get this like sounding like you want to beat someone up to it, then yeah, absolutely, we've done our job.
Well, that's a different kind of smack.
All of it sounds great. Not sure if it was bass boosted. We boost the bass a little around here. Not too much though. Sounds done to me.
Inspiring.
And like I said, the theme that we started out with, the little like bum ba ba bum bum bum, it didn't really matter, did it?
I mean, in the grand scheme of things, it's where we got started.
That's true. But I find that the direction that you're heading is more important than the starting or ending points.
Well, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step.
Mm-hmm. I think I don't know if this rap has come out yet, but I think I wrote a rap line where it's like, the journey is important, but not so much that you shouldn't finish it.
Wait, say that again?
The journey is important, but not so much that you shouldn't finish it.
Explain.
Like, it's not about the destination, it's about the journey. But you should get to the destination.
Oh, I get it. I get you now.
You should maybe like get to where you're wanting to go.
Yeah, finish something.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll see what Robin thinks of that music there. But yeah, we can put a pin in the cap of my rant. Actually, anytime you're doing art, like drawing and stuff, I would love to be a guest and sit in on your sessions and ramble while you draw. But I know that's basically what your drawing streams are, right?
Yeah, that'd be fun. Hopefully, it won't be as intense as the last one was.
Dude, the last one was awesome. And the art was like so good too.
I'm glad somebody thinks so. I thought it was a little too hard, in the paint, but
No,
maybe that's just me.
it was good. It was good. I really enjoyed it.
Yep, this was fun too. I always enjoy seeing a craftsman at work.
This was more craftsmanship than I've put into a piece of music in a while. With all the like thematic development and stuff like that. Like most of the time it's just like make a beat. That's it. Sing a melody over it, maybe.
Well, I mean, it shows because there was times during this, like listening to the music, and I was like, "Holy shit, this sounds like fucking amazing!" Like I had to stop and remind myself that I was here during its conception.
Yeah, you saw it go from little baby piano music all the way to epic fight theme.
Hell yeah, it's wonderful. This shit sounds like it would be in like a Hollywood movie.
I like it's so interesting to me because I think you're right. It could. But there's a level of not like compositional sophistication, but like sound quality audio that I haven't reached yet, that I know is like the professional level. And I also know that for most people, it's like, yeah, it sounds great. Could be in a movie. But it's
Well, maybe
someday I'll get to write for a real orchestra.
yeah, maybe it's more of a video game because it sounds a little bit more personal than like, orchestral film score number 3.
Yeah. I do like
especially with the little part at the beginning.
Yeah, I do like the man, like video game music is just so fascinating from a musical perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's very much like has to capture those feelings of, you know, being the individual, being on the journey, right?
Yeah, like it's not somebody else's song. It's your song. It's
Yeah.
your big fight moment.
Exactly. And at the same time, it's got to like loop well and not get tiring, but also it's got to respond to how you're feeling in the moment, right?
Yeah. Damn, I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, and like video. I watched a lot of lectures and videos and read a lot of books about this idea of composing for video game music, and it really is something that has not been a thing in all of music history, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like we've had music where yo yo yo, the Maxwell flyweight, the swarm is here, first time chatter Maxwell flyweight. We're shouting out everybody tonight, so Maxwell flyweight gets a shout out. Wait,
Hell yeah.
is that right? No, I need to put the word shout out in front of it actually. We also didn't shout out Ray Pierre, so I'm going to do that too. Welcome.
You get a shout out.
Welcome,
You
Swarm.
get a shout out.
We're talking about video game music. What's your favorite video game music? But historically, like there was music that kind of flowed with with another piece of art, like theater. You didn't raid? Oh, that's okay. We're shouting out everyone tonight. We're shouting out everybody tonight. We'll even shout out Drake too. Welcome, Drake. Like you had music that goes with theater, but even then, incidental music for theater also combines with the action in a very predictable way because of the script, right? So the idea that the audience or the viewer, the person being entertained, is controlling the pace of the music is like 100% a 20th century idea, and is something that has never existed before in the history of music.
Oh yeah. It's like when I watched something about Doom 2016 and I guess Doom Eternal by extension. It's like Mick Gordon figured out how to make a soundtrack that is never out of sync with what the player's actions are.
Yeah, actually, so the entire composition process on I have to wait 9 seconds before giving another shout out. You jerk. The entire composition process on there we go. Oh, I'm not even following Ray Pierre. Let's all follow Ray Pierre. Ray. The entire composition process on Doom is absolutely fascinating, and Mick Gordon got utterly screwed by Blizzard, as you might imagine. Bethesda. Yeah, that's right. I mean,
Still.
color me an unsurprised color. There's just like they took parts of the soundtrack that he did not intend to release and turned it into part of the OST.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I heard about that.
Yeah, which is just like the thing with writing a video game OST is it's a completely different process than writing music for the actual video game. Like when you're writing music for the actual video game, you have to program in like, okay, when the player walks through this door, they see the huge, beetle monster and the guitar comes in, right? And wherever the music is, the guitar starts when they walk through the door or at the next 4 measure break after they walk through the door. Like, you can program the music to really respond to what's happening in the game, and it's amazing, right? When you're writing the OST, when you're writing the soundtrack that people listen to, you have to just be like, okay, repeat this twice, and then the guitar comes in. It's a totally different process. And so a lot of times what you'll do is you'll have the composer crafting the soundscapes and putting together like this goes here, this goes there, and then you'll have one of their assistants actually putting together the soundtrack itself. So when it came to write the soundtrack for Doom, Mick Gordon didn't actually put together the OST, more than likely. What happened is, somebody at Bethesda was like, oh yeah, time to mutilate this score until it sounds good. And so they did. Join us in following Drake Laserheart. How am I not following Drake Laserheart? Y'all better be following all these great people. Drake. But yeah, the entire thing behind it is just that making video game music is such an in-depth and complicated process. And yeah, it's very easy for that material that the composer intends for a specific purpose to be used for other purposes, sometimes against their will and outside of their contract.
Yeah, it really sucks.
Because
I heard
that's the big thing. That's the reason why Mick Gordon was so mad, is because Bethesda was saying, since this is not the music from the actual video game, we don't have to pay you royalties or whatever. And it's
bullshit.
like, yeah, okay, fuck you. Hail Mick Gordon and fuck you, Bethesda.
Here.
And then Bethesda released that stupid smear article on Mick Gordon. Fuck them.
Yeah,
and then everybody forgot about it. But I hear he's doing well in court, which is good.
Yeah, that's something.
But yeah, the compositional process behind the Doom soundtrack was fascinating, because they challenged him to make a Doom soundtrack without guitars. And it's like, yeah, that's the kind of stuff that, inspires creativity, right?
Yep, good old imitations.
Yeah. Like LMG was talking about earlier.
Yeah, sometimes that helps. Sometimes having limits like that makes you get extra creative.
I think that it's an essential part of it. You were talking a little bit yesterday about feeling bad because you had traced the meme.
Yeah, I was actually thinking about going back and redoing it, like from scratch.
I think that memes inherently have that quality of share and share alike, right? Memes survive through iteration, right? Like when the Barbie meme came out with the like Barbie and Ken holding their prison cards, Barbie looking horrified and Ken looking happy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like nobody was going to the artists who were making memes of that and saying, "You fucking traced over their faces, you hack." No, because the entire point was that it's supposed to look like that, right?
Yeah.
Now, if you said like, I'm tracing over something that's not a meme, that's not well known, and I'm trying to say that this is something that I made original, non-traced, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now that is different, right? Especially if you're, especially if you're trying to say like, I want to make money off of it.
Yeah. I just want to go back and redo it just as a point of pride.
That's fair. That's fair. Although one thing that I've discovered over my artistic journey is that when you copy one artist, they call it plagiarism, but when you copy 100 artists, they call it originality. And so,
I mean, it's true.
So for me, when I feel like I'm edging too close to something that already exists, my go-to is to either experiment with it, just fuck around with it, or bring in another influence and try to incorporate that and change it, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to do something. I'm gonna do something like that once I finish up that animation that Augie was asking me about yesterday.
Oh, the bucket or
the chair.
The chair.
Yeah. I'm just coloring it in now.
Something like that.
Yeah, I'm coloring it in. I'm gonna like green screen it so it can be used for a bunch of different stuff.
Sounds sick. You could have yourself beating yourself up with a chair as a redeem.
I could do that. I could have that con beating up Little Con with the chair. Yeah, there's so many possibilities I could use that for. Just superimposing it over stuff.
Yeah, I wish I was more of an artist because I have these thoughts all the time about things that I want to do. Like even something like just the back of my model's head would be a great asset to have.
Well, I mean, whenever you get your 3D model done, you have it back of your head.
Oh yeah, true. I don't want to speak anything into existence, but I hear that it is coming along pretty quickly.
That's good. I'm glad.
Yeah, maybe
maybe
after my vacation, we'll have the glorious return into the third dimension.
It's really helpful. Like, I use my model as a model for like poses and stuff.
Yeah.
For like that drawing I did, I posed him up in Blender and I just took a screenshot of it.
Yeah, man, that ain't tracing. That's like how the industry professionals do it.
Yeah, using a good old an actual model and knowing it's my model makes me happy.
Yeah, for sure. It's you all the way down, straight from the cube.
So you do know something about Blender.
I remember you saying that you started with a cube.
Yeah, that's the default object in Blender. Whenever you start a new file, there's always a cube.
Nice.
And that's what I started as, is a cube.
A little cube. Yeah, I'm actually really excited to use software called VRM Posing Studio, which you probably have seen Bonicula use all the goddamn time.
That what she uses.
Yeah, it's actually like $5 on Steam.
Might have to look into that.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know Blender all that well, so just having something that I can put myself in a pose and throw up some special effects and props
Have
and
nice
shit.
thumbnail.
Yeah, yeah. A real thumbnail for real boys.
I do love your thumbnails that you use for streams and such, like the one for tonight's stream. It's fantastic.
Yeah, I again like limitations, right? If I feel like if I can get good at using a static 2D model to make thumbnails, then we're gonna go hard in the paint when we get a 3D model to actually do stuff with.
Absolutely.
Ooh, Rapier, you also use that? Yeah, it's super cool. Just be aware that it doesn't allow for family sharing, so I accidentally got it on my like human account, and now I have to switch over to that if I want to use it.
That sucks.
Yeah. Oh man, the fucking family sharing restrictions that some games have are the worst. Like, and I know it's like an extra fee or something like that, and some companies don't want to pay it, or they just don't want people like, oh no, 2 people could play 1 copy of our game. But yeah, I usually buy stuff on my human account so that my personal account, Isaac, doesn't have like credit card information on it or anything like that. And
Same.
I tried to buy Assassin's Creed Black Flag and Jedi the Fallen Order, and I can't fucking play either of them on stream because they are not available for family sharing.
Could you like buy it on your human account as a gift for your other account?
Oh, that's a really smart idea. I wonder if I bet you could.
I mean, it's got to be. I couldn't see any reason why I wouldn't.
Unless they're like, no, the profits are too diluted. We're losing pennies on the dollar. We're going to sue you.
Then I'll just pirate the game. How about that?
It all
Oh, I didn't
comes.
say that.
It all comes back to the high seas.
Yep, the good old Pilates Bay.
Hypothetically, if we were to be in such a situation where we would be forced to do something like that, unless you live in a country with restrictions, yeah, like DRM hurts everyone. And
Yeah.
sometimes you must set out up on the sea, hypothetically, to reach your
Yeah, in
destination.
Minecraft.
In Minecraft.
Yep, in Minecraft.
In
only,
Minecraft.
of course.
All right. So remember, kids, corporations are not your friends. The conversations that we have on this platform is more important than the platform itself. And it's important to have class solidarity, or the wealthy will take advantage of you. Let's figure out who we're going to raid.
Yep, fuck Twitch, fuck YouTube, fuck Twitter,
Fuck Threads.
fuck Threads, fuck Instagram. Go back to GeoCities.
Back to 2001.
Yep, the far off year of 2001.
All right, we're gonna raid someone that I've interacted with a ton on Twitter but never raided before. Zombie VT.
Zombie VT.
I'm just gonna make sure that they're still going.
Yes.
I like them hiding behind the chat box.
I'm an LGBT variety streamer who drinks hot sauce and does what she can to make you smile. And yeah, I'm a little wacky, but that's part of the fun. I am of age 21 and hopefully counting. My pronouns are they, them, or she, her. So
Drinks hot sauce. Damn.
I fucking listen. There's some wacky people out there. But we're gonna raid zombie.
Oh yeah, I've
Nice.
seen this person before on Twitter.
Yeah, they seem super cool on Twitter, so never raided them before. Throw up that raid message. Good night, Isaac. Night, Czar. Oh wait, wrong thing.
Nighty night, Ray.
Yeah, thanks for stopping in,
Ray,
Ray.
Ray.
If you do a music writing stream, make sure you ping me on Discord or something so that we can come check it out. But yeah, thank you everyone for stopping in. My name's Isaac. This is Khan, and merry little men are we.
Twisms, y'all.
Twisms. Until later. Farewell.